Your warm-up today says give the coordinates of each graph below. So how would I get to point A? Yes?
-2 up 1.
Yeah. You first, when you are graphing these, you go left or right first. If you go left, it's a negative. If you go right, it's a positive. Then you go up or down. If you go up, then the second number is positive. If you go down, the second number is negative. So we went left first, 2. So that's a -2. And then we went up 1. What needs to go around those two numbers? Parentheses. Make sure you have the parentheses. All right, point B is over here. How many spaces? 4. So the first number is a +4. And then did I go up or down at all? No, so I put a 0. All right, C is over here. How would you get there? 3, and then down 2. How do I write a down 2? Yeah, 3 -2. Good. And then D is right over here. How do I get there? Over? Over which way? Okay, and then? Okay, so I went left and down. So what type of numbers are those going to be? I sort of agree. You went left. -1, -3. Very good. Left and down, both negatives. What are your questions on today's warm-up?
Is that what we're going to be doing today?
Here is what we're doing today. So get your notebooks out. They should actually already be out. That's kind of what the warm-up time is, as I keep telling you. The section number for today is 1.3. The section title is Points, Lines, and Planes. Our objective, you see a lot of vocabulary type words up there. We're going to talk about all of them. You will get the definition for points, lines, segments, rays, planes, coplanar, and collinear points. Today is very, very notes intensive. You will write down, I think, 11 definitions before you leave here. So settle in, get those pencils ready, stretch your hands out. It's coming. Looking forward to tomorrow. You can see on the board it says Friday that there is a quiz. It also says that tonight part of your homework assignment is to study. So all these definitions you're writing down, you are going to want to take some time tonight to read over those. You have 8 vocabulary questions on your quiz tomorrow. So if you have no idea what any of these words means, you are really going to struggle with the first part of tomorrow's quiz. Along with the vocab, you will have 5 or 6, depending on the section, questions from each day this week. So you will have 5 or 6 questions from section 1.1. That was all the patterns and stuff. You'll have 5 or 6 questions from 1.2. 1.2 was the conjectures and the counter examples that we did yesterday. And then you'll have 5 or 6 from today. And again, it involves all these vocabulary words: points, lines, segments, rays, planes, collinear, and coplanar. You will have 3 slides of all definitions. So here's the first 4 for you. We are going to draw a little picture and a symbol next to most of the definitions, 2, 3, and 4 on this slide. So if you want to leave a little space off to the side, that would be great too. I'll give you a couple minutes and then we will discuss what you've written. All right, so the first definition you wrote down was geometry. That's the class you're in. Geometry is all about measurements on Earth. So angle measurements, measurements of line segments, different things like that. You will be hearing a lot about measurements this year. That's what basically the main concept in geometry is all about measurements. Number 2, a point. A point is a specific location in space that has no size. We represent a point with a dot. So next to the definition, I want you to draw a dot. We label points with a capital letter. Someone give me one. Capital letter. Z. Okay, so I'm going to call this point Z. So draw a dot. Near the dot, put a Z. That's point Z. Now, if your answer to a question was point Z, you would just write a capital Z on the answer line. You don't have to draw the point when you're answering it as point Z. The next one we are going to talk about is a line. A line is a never-ending straight path that is determined by 2 points and has one dimension. You can use any 2 points on the line to name it. So I'm going to draw a line for you. The important thing to remember about lines is they go on forever in both directions. So this line is going on and on and on and on forever in this direction, all the way through the hall, into that next Spanish room, and out the window. To the right, it's going like down the whiteboard, through the brick wall, out through that garden, and like way out into McDonald's and beyond. Okay, so lines go on forever in both directions. We name lines using 2 of the points on the line. So if the points A and B were on the line, we could call this line AB. And the symbol for a line is a little line above the 2 letters you're using to name the line. So make sure you put the arrows on the end. If you don't put the arrows on the end, now you are writing the symbol for a line segment. Line segment, or sometimes just called segment, is a line that is defined, or that has a definite beginning and end. So it looks a lot like a line, but now a segment has endpoints. So it starts at A, ends at B. No arrows. There's no going on forever and ever in either direction. And when you're naming a line segment, you must use the letters that are on the end, so that we know exactly where the line segment starts and exactly where the line segment ends. Notice this symbol above the A and the B doesn't have arrows in either direction, because we know it starts at A, stops at B. What are your questions? Alright, here are your next 3 definitions, so go ahead and write these down. We will have a little picture with all 3 of these, so if you want to leave a line or just maybe some space off to the side, that would be great. I'm going to underline some parts on 6 that I want you to underline as well as you're writing it. And 7. Alright, first one on here is a ray. A ray is sort of like a line segment on one side and like a line on the other side. A ray has a definite starting point, but then it goes on and on forever in the other direction. So this ray starts right here, but then it's going on and on, out the window, across the street, to the right. When you're naming a ray, you have to start with the one that has the end point. So not the one that goes on and on forever. The other one, that's the letter that needs to come first, followed by the other letter, the other point. And then you just draw a ray on top of it, and that shows that you're talking about a ray. So again, lines, you need double arrows on the top. Line segment, no arrows on the top. Ray, 1 arrow on the top. Alright, I'm going to jump down and talk about 7 first. Collinear points. Collinear points are points that lie on the same line. So there are 3 collinear points. Something cool to know about collinear points, any 2 points you pick anywhere are collinear. You can always draw a line between 2 points. It's that third point that always messes you up. So when you want to talk about non-collinear points, you need at least 3. It is not possible to have 2 non-collinear points. You need more than 2. Non-collinear points are points that cannot be on the same line. So there are 3 points. We can call them A, B, and C. There is no way that I could draw a straight line between A, B, and C, so we call those non-collinear. I told you to underline non and line. So you can see non-line. They're not going to form a line. Linear, though, collinear, they do form a line. So if you just sort of dissect the word, it'll help you figure out what we're talking about. Any questions on these 3? All right. Here's the last slide of definitions. I'm going to shorten that first one for you, though. It's a little longer than I think you need. So just write the first sentence. You can stop right there. The rest we will just talk about in our visual representation of a plane. So just that first sentence. Let's start with talking about plane. A plane has 2 dimensions and is determined by 3 points. I want you to underline that 3 points. So we already talked about how through any 2 points you can draw a line. Through any 3 points you can have a plane. A plane is basically a flat surface that goes on forever in all directions. So like if you can imagine the whiteboard up there, if it extended out forever in all directions, that would be a plane. Or the floor, if this floor went on forever and ever in all directions, that's a plane. Or your desktop, if it went on forever and ever in all directions, that would be a plane. It takes 3 points to make a plane. Have you guys ever noticed when a photographer has their camera on a little stand, how many legs there are? 3. Do you know why there's 3?
Stability.
Yes. 3 is the most stable you can get. 2 is not enough. It would just fall right over. And then once you get the 4th one, if one of them's a little shorter, it'll wobble. But if you have 3, no matter how short or long you make them, even if they're not the exact same length, it will define a flat surface so the camera will stand up. And it won't wobble. So that's why 4-legged stools will wobble, 3-legged stools will not. Cool, right? I love it. So that takes us to number 10. Anytime you're talking about something that's not going to form a plane, it's non-coplanar, you need to have at least 4 points. Any 3 points can be a flat plane. Any 3 points can be coplanar. If you're talking about something that's not coplanar, you need 4 points. So, coplanar, they're on the same plane. Not coplanar or non-coplanar, they are not on the same plane. So, if the plane I was talking about was this iPad, and then I hold my pen way up here, the tip of my pen is a point non-coplanar to my iPad. Do you all see that? Not on the same plane. But I don't know if this is going to do anything. Now they are coplanar, okay? Not on the same plane, on the same plane. All right? And then a postulate is a statement that is accepted without proof. So a lot of our lessons in geometry class will start with a postulate. It is not something I can prove for you. It's just something that we all sort of agree is going to be true. Any questions on all these definitions? Like I said, these will appear on the quiz tomorrow. Not every single one of them. I think there's only 8. There's only 8 vocab words on that quiz tomorrow, but I would also review the vocab from yesterday to get yourself ready as well. Questions before we get going? All right, here are some examples. You don't need to write out the draw a picture of each of the following. You can just write line, we'll draw a line, write segment, we'll draw a segment, write ray, and we will draw a ray. Okay. What's a line? It's straight. What does it have on the ends? Arrows. Lines go on forever and ever in both directions. So, you know there has to be at least 2 points on the line. So, just put 2 points on there. Arrows on the end, though, is the main thing. What about a segment? How is that going to be different? Just points on the ends. Good. That's a segment. And finally, a ray. How's a ray different?
It has an arrow on one side.
One side has an arrow. Good. So I can call this E, F. Good. And remember, the arrow goes beyond the point. Some people want to point the point like at the end of the arrow. That kind of looks silly. So if there's an arrow, don't put the point right on top of the arrow. It's hard to read. What are your questions about this one? All right, here's the next one. You do not need to write these postulates at the bottom. As you can see, I put the word hint. So if you want a little hint as to what I'm asking you about, that's what that's for. Whoops, I'll back it up. There you go. So we are finishing the sentence through any 3 points not on a line. There exists exactly one blank. Don't say it, write it. If you're stuck, read those 2 postulates, see if they help you. All right, anyone think they have it? 3 points defines a what? Yes. Okay, we got non-collinear points. We already mentioned they're non-collinear because it says not on a line. So that's the same as this part. So what else do you know about those? What? Collinear? They will be non-collinear because they're not on the same line. But those 3 points, think about the good old camera standing still. 3 points defines a what? Plane. Good. It is the second postulate you see. So 3 non-collinear points, so that means 3 points not on a line, determine exactly one plane. So you need 2 points to make a line, you need 3 points to make a plane. Questions? Here is number 3. I'm going to shorten it up for you. For part A, just write, oh, you can't see, I'm writing in white on top of white. Just write collinear. Part B, write coplanar. Part C, write non-collinear. And then I'm going to talk you through your first geometry sketch. All right. Are you ready to draw the picture?
No.
Not yet? Okay, when you are ready, you want to start by drawing like a slanted piece of floor tile or a piece of paper or a parallelogram if you want to get fancy. Okay, that's how we draw a plane. So you should imagine like a flat surface extending in all directions. On that plane, draw a line. Label that line D, E, and F. Everybody still with me? All right, now put your pen on the E, point E, and just draw a line straight up. Put an H on there. Now, some people like to use the dotted line to show the part that you couldn't really see. It'd be covered by the plane. Or some people just like to go to where the plane ends and then extend the line. Either way is fine with me. So, if you're like, I have no idea what I just drew. This is a plane, so let's imagine my iPad is the plane. Laying on this plane is the line D, E. It also has a point F. Those 3 points are on that line, on the plane, and then you have another line coming through the plane. Everybody visualizing it?
Yes.
Okay, great. Now let's see if we can answer these questions. So we want to name 3 points that are collinear. Collinear means they form a line. Who? Oh, I forgot G on my drawing. Make sure you put a G on there too. All right, give me 3 lines that are 3 points that are on the same line. Yes. D, E, and F. Great. The next one, 4 points that are coplanar. So 4 points that are on the same plane. This is where you got to make sure you put G on there somewhere. The flat sheet. What are the 4 points on the flat sheet? D, E, F. G, good. D, E, F, and G. Name 3 points that are non-collinear. What does it mean to be non-collinear? Yes. Not on the same line. Can you give me 3 points that aren't on the same line? G, H, E. G, H, and E are definitely not on the same line. Remember, when you're naming points, you can just use the capital letters. Are there other possible answers for part C? Yeah, a lot of those are non-collinear. Like you could do D, E, H, or F, E, G, or a bunch of combinations. Basically, just not D, E, F. Questions? Okay, you can put your pencils down. I do not want to spend a bunch of time on these. I just want to kind of get you thinking. We're just going to talk them out loud. You don't need to write them. Can 2 points be non-collinear? So through any 2 points, there exists a what? A line. So is it possible for those 2 points to be not a line? No, so this would be a no. Can 3 points be non-collinear? So now if we add a third point, yes, they could definitely be non-collinear. The next one, we have a line segment A, B. The question is saying, is it possible to have another point in between A and B?
No.
Yes.
Yeah, I just showed you. You could put a C in there, you could put a D in there. There's a bunch of points. A and B don't have to be the only points on the segment. They're just the end points of the segment. So this is a yes. Can collinear points be non-coplanar? So we're saying all these points are in a line. They're collinear. Is it possible that they're not on the same flat surface? No. They would be on the same plane if they're on the same line. It's like saying you couldn't put something flat on a pen or a pencil. Let's look at it the other way. Can coplanar points be non-collinear? So the board is like a plane. If I put a bunch of points on the plane, on the chalkboard, would they all have a line through them? No, not necessarily. So it is possible to be coplanar, but not collinear. These are kind of tricky. I know. This is a huge day for vocab. That's why I'm telling you set some time aside if you have an LS class this afternoon or tomorrow morning. Definitely plan on reading through those vocabulary words. Any questions before homework?